say thank you to General McMaster, who gave us the opportunity. He sits at the fault line of American constitutional governance.
I think the bipartisan approach is extremely important. In my military career, I had the good fortune of spending a few years on Capitol Hill, and as a Marine liaison officer, and my motto was always do for the majority what you do for the minority and vice versa.
On a day-to-day basis in the National Security Council, we're now at...
Consistent with President Trump's guidance, we have devolved responsibility and authorities back to the departments where it belongs and emphasized that coordination and integration role. One of the ways we've done that is with the time we saved by not calling up Captain Jones or his equivalent. What we've done is applied that time to reestablishing our strategic competence, to think longer term, and to involve the heads of the departments and agencies, the State Department in particular, to play a foundational role in framing problems, in viewing situations around the world that affect our national security through the lens of vital interests, and then based on that framing, to establish long-term goals and more specific objectives associated with those goals.
Being a coordinating and advisory structure. I think each one of you probably
has solved it. I think what HR is doing is definitely in the right direction. But it's the old problem. If all you do is manage crises, all you're going to get is more crises because you're not putting in place the policies and strategy to shape the future and avoid the crises. On the other hand, as Jim mentioned, the number of issues that HR is dealing with is overwhelming.
Not familiar. J3 is responsible for as the other, so he gave priority to it.
In recent years, in particular, the problem with leaks has become a real challenge to national security, and so I think what's very important is that everyone that's involved in these sort of policy discussions understand the sacred trust that is placed in them, and they realize that speaking to the media about government deliberations is treasonous when it involves national security. The stakes couldn't be higher. There are new dangers to national security. It's clear that in the middle of last century, that the age of what is called the age of free security was over. But what we see now is this democratization of destruction, new threats that are emerging, new battlegrounds and contested spaces involving very sophisticated campaigns of subversion, the use of cyber capabilities, for example. And so that really requires us to really focus on our strategic competence.
Mail channels, and it took a while for even to know if it got there.
What the President has directed us to do is to approach the national security challenges, the problems and opportunities from a perspective of pragmatic realism, to prioritize the safety and security of the American people, to emphasize the connection between security and American prosperity in new ways, such that we integrate what we're doing from an economic perspective with what we're doing from a military and diplomatic perspective in new and different ways, to emphasize peace through strength, to explore new forms of deterrence against a broader range of actors that can do us harm despite the oceans on either side of our continent, but then also to advance American influence and recognition that it's America's partners and allies and like-minded nations that give us our unique strength and influence across the world.